Hey everybody, welcome to Mountain Laurel Metalworks again. I've got another project coming up that I'm going to make a video on in a little bit, but I needed to do something different on my mill to help line this thing up. So let's go ahead and take a look. What I'm doing is I'm creating a backstop for the mill that is going to be indexed so it is tram in line with the table, and it'll give me a clamping surface to put this part up against. So let's get over here and you guys can get a better idea what I'm talking about. Okay, so here you see I've got a piece of bar stock, and this is just a mystery steel that was around the shop. I have no idea what it is. Probably just mild steel by the way it was sparking when I was grinding it. But all I really am going to do is cut some slots in here so it fits into the T-slot cutouts of my ways, and then drill some holes so I can clamp that down to those T-slots. And then we're going to machine the face to be sure that it's tram with the table. And that's going to give me a backstop to push against when I'm trying to secure parts on the table and I don't have the vise in here. There's a few other ways to do that, but this will work for me and it'll be something reusable for the future. So let's go ahead and get into this. Okay, so here we are. We've got our part set up. You see we got the fly cutter in here. We're going to do that just to clean up this surface. And this is going to be the bottom. So when we're done, we'll turn this over and we're actually going to finish the operations on the table itself to be sure that we're absolutely square. So all we're going to do here is give this a nice cut to clean up that surface. We're going to center find this piece with the edge finder, and then we're going to cut in the lips that will have a protrusion so this hits down into the table. So let's go ahead and start with the fly cutting operation. Okay. And we are running 800 RPMs here. We'll touch off, move out, and then begin the fly cutting operation. There we go. Take it down just a hair more. A little slower than that. There we go. Okay, there we go. We got our part in. We'll go ahead and take our fly cutter out, get our end mill in, and readjust some lighting, honestly. There we go. All right, start our center finding here. All right, we're at 14458, which halfway puts us at 7229. So let's go ahead and bring that up and go to 7229, and we're going to zero out on the center here. I'll go 723, obviously 7229, a little awkward. There we go. And we'll call that center. Get this out, and we will go ahead and start milling. Okay, so here we are. We've got a 1/2 inch end mill in, and it's sitting on center of the part right now. And our measurement is 630 that we want to go. So basically the formula here is pretty simple. We're just going to add 630 to our 500 and then cut that in half. And basically that's going to bring us to 565. So we're going to dial out 565 either side of center, and then take a quick measurement after a little skim cut. So let's go ahead and get 565 here. There we go, 565. Bring our cutter down, make a little cut on this side. Get out of there. I just want to mark where my cutter is real quick. Bring us down to remove enough material where we can get a measurement. Okay. And 565, the other side is 0. Alrighty, let's see where we're coming in at here. A little further. Just couldn't quite get a nice measurement in there. All right, 637, is that right? Might have been on a internal radius if I get in the bottom of the corner. Having a hard time doing this with the camera in the way here. Yeah, 6305 is what I'm seeing. So, which is what I wanted. I wanted to go a little over. We can always take more off if we need to. But let's go ahead and run that cut through. Okay, there we go for that operation. Let's take a measurement. See if we got to do any little cleanup. Yeah, we're going to take another thou or two off of there. So what we're going to do is we're going to take one thou off each direction. So instead of 565, we're going to go to 564 each way. And that'll take two thou off, and that should give us a nice fit. There we go. I'm going to deburr these edges on the other end just so I can get a nice measurement. There we go. .631, right where we wanted to be. Okay, and since we're here with the end mill, we're going to clean up both ends of this. All right, that completes our first set of operations. The next thing we're going to do is put the holes in for the through holes for the bolts. And then we're going to just chamfer each of these corners. And we're going to put some rather large chamfers on this corner and on the back corner. That way, when the piece is on the table, there'll be clearance between this edge and the table. And that'll come in two parts. One, when we actually mill that face to be parallel with the table, but the other is when a part goes up against it. If there happens to be a small burr at the very corner of the part, there'll be a small recess that won't catch that burr and throw us off. So, all right, so we're going to get reset for that, and I'll come back when we're all set up. All right, here we are set back up to drill our center holes. And what we're going to do is we're going to edge find these two, and using the center location on the DRO, find our center for our first hole. And then we're going to come basically just an inch off each end to give us a hole. So let's go ahead and get our center first. There we go. We are centered. And we are still in the y-axis from where we previously centered before cutting these two lips here. Go ahead and get our center drill. Bring our RPMs down. It's a little faster than I want to drill a 1/2 inch hole at. Okay, this hole that we're about to drill is a clearance hole for the bolts that go through, and we're drilling at about 200 thou, I'm sorry, about 20 thou over size. And that's just to give us a little bit of play when this is in there. We don't want these bolts to influence the position of this. So, yeah, I'll drop my table down a little bit. There we go, we're through. Okay, now what we're gonna do is we're gonna drive over, and when I said an inch from the end, that's just an approximate measure. These are not critical measurements at all. It's just to hold this piece in place. So we're gonna come on over and just basically pick out a spot that we like. About an inch from the end. And we'll just do the same thing on both sides. Looks like about 4 inches is gonna be good. Let me just double check. That puts us at 3.8. We'll do 3.8 inches for our next hole. That'll work just fine. All right, so the last thing we're going to do is just put a chamfer on all the sides of this here to give us that bevel I mentioned earlier for clearance, and we're just using a 60-degree countersink bit. Okay, let me bring this back up while we do that, and we're going to deburr those holes manually later. I just didn't want to do another tool swap while we were drilling them, and since they're not critical in any way, that was perfectly fine. Now what we're going to do is we're going to drive in and set our depth. And I want to get quite a bevel on here. So I'm going to go and stop there for a second and then set my quill stop a little higher so I can get a nice sharp bevel. And it's one of the reasons I chose this 60 degree over the 45 is that this is going to allow me to get a bevel that is rather tall on this surface but is not very deep going that way. There we go. And what we're going to do is we're still centered, so we'll be able to put the same bevel on both sides by simply dialing in on our DRO. So let's see here. Let's start this up, get us some more RPMs here. Okay, and we'll start backing up until I start cutting that bevel to the depth I want. And you can see what we're putting on there. Let's see how that is. That looks pretty good. There we go. I'm going to give some oil all along the edge of this. Okay, there's that. And we're going to do the same thing for that top edge, just to give us a little break. So we'll line that up just as we did before. Come down, touch, and then just give us a little bit of clearance. And this one doesn't really need much. We're just basically going to touch it just to clean up that edge. Okay. This operation is basically complete. I'm going to take this part out while everything is still in place. And in case I had to put it back for any reason, you know, take another skim off of here or anything like that. And I'm going to try it in the table. So I'm not going to grab that on camera because I don't want to change all this stuff around. But should that work, we'll come back, we'll flip it over, we'll fly cut the opposite side, you know, what is currently the bottom, to give it a nice finish. And then we'll get it on the table for the following operations. I'm going to pause this while I check that, and we'll come right back. All right, here we are with the part flipped over. Everything fit just fine in the mill table slots. There's a little bit of play, probably a couple thou, exactly what I was looking for. So we're just going to go ahead and clean up this top just to dress it up nicely. This has no actual functional purpose other than looking nice. So here we go. All right, there we go. There's our piece ready to be bolted to the table and have its front and rear sides milled. So let's go ahead and set up for that, and we'll be right back. Okay, here we are with our part on the table. Okay. And you can see how it's going to go is there's a little clearance here, and that's not a gap. That's where we put the chamfer in. And what we're going to do is when we put this on, we're going to push it against the back while we snug the bolts down. So we'll go ahead and do that part. Okay, and we're going to bolt that in nice and snug. Oh, that one might not make it. I might need a spacer on there. Something to space that. Have to use some shorter bolts on some of these. There we go. Spacer. Come on. Started crooked on that one. Sorry if I'm bumping the camera. There we go. So you'd hold it against the back and tighten down the nuts. That one. That one. And then of course this one. Now that is snug. Let me see here. Okay. And what we're going to do is tap it just like we would anything else. So we'll grab the hammer here and just give it a little tap. Just to be sure it's fully seated against the rear. And snug it on down. All right, and then we are going to bring our cutter down until we're just shy of the deck. That's what that relief was for. And we're just going to put a cut right across the front of here. And then we'll take this out and put it back in and see how well it re-indexes. There we go, nicely. There was a little corrosion on there. That pass cleaned it right up. So we're gonna go ahead and do the backside while we're here, and this will basically be done. Make sure there's no protrusions. Oh, yep. I'm gonna stop this real quick. The block here is hanging over the backside, and I do not want to cut my block. Go ahead and move that one. And again, this was only because that screw was a little bit longer than some of the others. I'll have to get some screws just for this purpose. There we go. Everything else has clearance. We are good to go. There we go, that did it. All the corrosion on that backside is cleaned up. So we're gonna go ahead and throw the indicator on here, and of course it's gonna indicate well because we just cut it, but then we're gonna remove it and put it back on and see how well we can repeat the positioning. All right, so we've got our part still on the table after we've done the machining. So we're gonna drive in with the test indicator, and this is a half thou indicator, so 5/10. So let's go ahead and drive this in. Hopefully you guys can see this on camera. So I'm gonna go a full rev, and you see we went past 0 and back, so you know that we are indeed contacting the material. We go ahead and lock that in. Yeah, that shimmied a little bit, but you can see there. There we are. And I'm gonna run the power feed. And we have 0 movement of the needle. So not even tenths across here. So we'll go ahead and go to the other end, and then we'll swap it and come to the front and look at the front side. There we go, bring the table down. Move our pointer to the rear. I got to watch out for this block here. It's sticking out a little bit. Okay, and once again, we're going to go past 0. So you can see that we are definitely touching the part. Okay. Let me get on there. There we go. And power feed once again. And absolutely 0 movement of the needle. Okay, and that's to be expected, nothing crazy there. I mean, we literally just cut it in this situation, so it basically can't be anything other than parallel, unless there's something really wrong with my machine. All right, so now what I'm gonna do is drop the table, remove this, reinstall it, and let's see if we have repeatability. Now what we'll be able to do is, because I put the play in here, and that was on purpose, there's a little bit of room in the slots, and that'll allow us to bump it like you would if you were tramming in a vise. I'm gonna go grab some washers so I don't have to deal with this with this toe clamp here. See, that one has a few threads above the surface. I wonder if I flipped it. Yeah, we'll leave it. Take these off. Whoop. There we go. And whoop, hit my meter. There we go. We can see how that internal piece came about and the profile we put on. I have not deburred these yet, so I'm being very careful. This literally just came off as we cut it a moment ago. Okay, so what we do have to do is, like anything else on here, when we're mounting a piece of any kind of accurate equipment, we've got to make sure everything is clean, especially that back edge, because that is our registration surface. Okay. There we go. Okay. And honestly, because I need that washer, I'm going to leave this off for right now. I'm just not going to put that middle one on because all we're checking is that we can come back to relatively accurate. Let's see where we are here. Okay, bring the table back up. Okay, and we'll dial in once again to 0. Round, past, back. That way you guys know we're contacting the part. Okay, lock my table in. Okay, and let's check our power feed. And I'm getting no movement on the needle. So wonderful. Uninstall, reinstall, and we get to keep a nice backstop that is in line, trimmed with the head square on the table. Excellent. All right, great. I hope you all like that. Now, we did have a little bit of a bump there. Let me see. Which way? Yeah, there we go. And that was for a half a thou different. Which way? Yep, there we go. And like I said, tramming like you would a vise, you can tighten that right up there. And we'll check it again. Yep, no movement. Perfect. Very easy to get back in square right away. All right, well, I hope you guys like this. It's going to be shown in the next video that I make. So if you got any questions, comments, or suggestions, as always, comment down below. And thank you very much for watching.